if it happens to be that time of the month, and is unable to go to work because of this. Some countries even have menstrual leave days for kids in school, secondary school, you know, so they can go take care of themselves because when that time of when that time of the month hits, there for some women, or maybe quite a number of women actually, it is a it is painful. Yeah, that's the word. It is painful. You're in all sorts of moods. It's almost as if everything is upside down for you as a woman. So some women, it's actually really really bad for some women where they can't really function. So you probably just see that they're just moping around, or they can't really be as productive as they really need to be at the end of the day. So some countries already have menstrual leave days. Some have situations where they offer paid menstrual leave. Indonesia, for instance, has 2 days in a month where you can take your menstrual leave and you get paid for those days. For South Korea, women must be paid out for unused menstruation leave days. So that's women who don't even take those days off. You get paid for not taking those days off. In Taiwan, you have 3 days per month that are not counted against your sick leave. In Zambia, they have 1 day off per month. There are some countries who actually offer unpaid menstrual leave or have other policies in place. Japan, for instance, requires employers to grant women days off for difficult menstruation but does not obligate them to pay workers for the absences. So it's up to the company to decide if they want to pay or not. Now, I think the this talk or argument for menstrual leave has been going on for a very very long time, and it is something that a lot of countries tend to, I'm not sure if the word is struggle with, or they've not really wrapped their heads around it, because there's an argument that, hey, use something. I mean, if you're in pain or whatever, go get a job to use. Or I mean, people have so far existed and survived all their menstrual leave days and nothing terrible has happened, so why do you need days to just sit at home because you are on your period? So, hey, time to talk about that is what we are talking about today. So, how would you like to have menstrual? Would you like to have menstrual leave days?
Yes, I would like to have menstrual leave days. I would like to have it because for some women are lucky and some are not so lucky. On those days, for some people, they are like really not very productive. In fact, some I have friends that are basically useless when they're on their period. They can't do anything. They can't do anything. They can have meaningful conversations. They can't get work done. So what's the point coming to work when you really can't do what you're coming to work to do? And I think it's even very embarrassing to come to work and then you're sluggish, you're not doing your job, you get shouted at, and then people find out that, oh, the reason why you're not able to do what you're supposed to do is because you're on your period. Why not just stay at home?
Okay. Now, like I mentioned earlier, some countries also have a situation where they allow for kids to miss school on days where they are on their period. I mean, for people who you had classmates in secondary school, then there was a time in the month where you just don't see them in class.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in secondary school as well, and they were like, oh yeah, they were ill or something was wrong with them, blah blah blah. Now, not everybody tends to have this issue. Okay, another country that is even trying to put this together and make it work is Italy. They've been trying to actually put this together. They did say something about it sometime in 2017, where there was news about how they may become, they wanted to authorize menstrual leave for people with painful periods. Okay, and of course, this condition is actually, it is a condition. It
Mm-hmm.
is known as dysmenorrhea. So, yeah, in Italy, they're really trying to work hard, to ensure that this becomes a thing. All right. So, if you look at the history, um, if you look at the history, it is. mostly South Korea, Japan, China, that you would find that have really, really embraced this. But what is so wrong in, wanting a menstrual leave day for women, or two, perhaps? Do you think there's anything wrong with that?
I don't think there's anything wrong. Especially for men. I mean, you guys don't go through this thing. You don't know how it feels like. You don't know how it feels like to be bleeding down there, to be nauseous, to have back pain, to have breast pain, to have waist pain all at once. Please let these ladies stay at home. Okay, when I started to have my periods, then before I got the hang of it, and then I knew how to just maneuver my way around it. In secondary school back then, if I'm on my period, everybody in the class will know because my stomach is paining me. Eating. At the end of the day, I get rushed out to the sick bay, and it's like I'm sick. So
Hmm.
why not just stay at home and let me be taken care of by my mom or someone? Let these girls stay at home. Let women stay at home. If you feel like you can handle it and you can come to work and do what you have to do without causing a scene, fine. If you can't handle it, please stay at home. I have a friend that whenever she's on a period, she lands in the hospital. She gets injections for period. So you expect somebody like that goes through that to come to work and do what? What's the point?
Okay, so now there are different people who have different opinions
What's the
about this.
point?
Sometimes, especially among women who believe that, you know what, they don't believe in women getting a day or two off for their menstrual leave, and they believe that it's a normal thing in a woman's body. It's like being pregnant, or and they also believe that women tend to take advantage of simple things like that. Well, simple in quote, especially that there's no way of proving that they are on
A
their
period.
period, because like, how do you want to go to HR and prove
I feel like more.
that you're on your period?
Mm-hmm.
And there are also concerns with employers as well, who kind of feel like, okay, they may lose staff strength, when it comes to giving women leave days off for their period. But you know what? We're going to take a quick breather right now. We do have a quick message to take. And right after our message, we will continue with our topic on Soul Sisters this afternoon. All right. So, hey, drop a message. Remember, our WhatsApp number is 0809 444 Please tweet at smooth981 FM. We would love to hear from you. Okay. So, stick around.
And you guys can also keep in the fact that sanitary pads should also be free because I okay that's my opinion, but I feel like sanitary pads should be free because it's a medical condition that most women can't control. So at the end of the day, why do you have to pay for? And they are more expensive than condoms, whereby condoms are things that you are buying
How much
because
is
you
a
want to have.
condom?
But that by the way,
Did
my
we
point
ask
is
you how,
my
how long ago you've had sex? How
my
much is
point
condom?
is it's more expensive than the sanitary pads, and
Condom's not up to 300 naira.
yeah, it's more than
It's
300 naira.
300 naira. A
Depends
pack
on
of condoms
it depends on what you're buying. Yeah, pack of condoms.
is up to 600 naira.
It's like 500, 600. That range.
It's about the same range for some items,
How
yeah.
much is orange?
There's a 500, there's something, there's 700,
Yeah, but it shouldn't
there's.
be the same amount as what you are going to buy to have unprotected sex, which where you are making the conscious decision to buy that to have unprotected sex. This is something that you cannot control.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way you can control it. So why do you, especially girls in secondary school?
Yeah, can we also talk about period shaming?
Oh, sure.
This is true life, and I love going through it.
Okay, we're back. All right, City of Vegas, we are back right after that quick breather. And remember, this is the Casbah on your Love Music, Love Life Station, Smooth 98.1. It's the Soul Sister segment today. And with me, my soul sister is Temitope. We are
Yeah.
here talking about how, is it time for us to imbibe the whole idea of menstrual leave days in Nigeria? Sometime last year, I mean, there's a lot of things we're still even struggling with. We're still struggling with, more leave days for maternity leave. We're still struggling for paternity leaves for dads, you know. Um, So we're not coming up with the idea of, hey, we want leave days for we want menstrual leave days too, because those days actually take a toll that, everybody, every woman, or most women, not every, because some women out there are so fortunate that they don't have
Very,
any
very.
issue when it comes to their menstrual period, and they go by their day like nothing is happening. Meanwhile, for someone else out there, it's like their world is about to crumble. They're in so much pain, you know and the likes. And we're like, okay, is it time for us to also imbibe menstrual leave days at work, in schools, for women? And remember, Lagos, if you want to send your messages in, please, please remember to include your name in your message. It's always very important to identify whose thoughts we are, working with on the show. So, hey, please, when you send your message, please remember to include your name and your location. That will definitely help us a lot. All right. So, hey, so we've been talking about menstrual leave days, and we've looked at some of the countries that have menstrual leave days, and some of the concerns as well, for both parties, especially for the employers. They are really concerned about, okay, how do we know you're actually on your period? How can you prove that you're actually on your period? I mean, even for normal sick leave,
Mm-hmm.
most times people can pretend
Yeah, to
that
be sick.
they're actually sick. I've seen someone go sick on me, like in a split second, just to get off, getting in trouble. So I can imagine how that goes. But yeah, what proof, do you have to, to show that you are actually on your period, and you actually really need the sick leave as well? Another concern employers tend to have is losing staff strength. Okay, because they're looking at if 6 to 7 women call in sick on the same day,
Ooh,
you know
yeah,
because
to
let's just
take it
say their
slow.
menstrual cycles are linked, and that is a thing that definitely happens. If you are one who tends to talk to other ladies around you at work or in school or whatever, you may realize that, oh, one person might say, oh yeah, I'm on my period right now. Another person would also concur, like, oh yeah, my period started like three
2 days
days ago.
ago.
So they're in the same, their cycles are actually linked in the same period. All right, so that's another concern for employers. So if 6 to 7 women in my office are gone, who's going to do the work? You know, and for Nigeria, we kind of like have many holidays already that employers
Yeah, that's very
are not
true.
even
Very
feeling in the
true. Very
first
true.
place. So that also tends to be another concern for, people. All right. So I actually have one message in here by Dakwa, who says the problem is it is open to abuse. Dakwa, who sent a message on WhatsApp, said it in principle it's okay to give time off, but how can you prove you are really in pain? And Dakwa also says it is a minefield. Okay, thank you, Dakwa, for sending that message in from the UK. Remember, if you want to send yours in, you can go onto our Instagram page at smooth981. Okay, and of course on Twitter we are at smooth981fm. So, how can we go about proving
That we are really on our period.
and we're in pain and it's unbearable?
Okay, yeah, so I've been thinking about it and I've been trying to wrap my head around it, but I think you have to like work with HR. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if this makes
Because
sense.
you can't even, okay, let's say you even want to work with HR and then you want to put down your what's that thing called, your monthly schedule, how your cycle
Mm-hmm.
works. Some people have irregular cycles.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, very very true. So maybe because when you're about to start your period, definitely you know because you get signs. You get some signs that are peculiar to you. So you know like maybe 3 4 days before that. Okay, my period is going to come very soon. You can probably notify HR that okay, maybe in the next 2 days or in the next 3 days, I'm not sure this thing might come, and so I might have to take leave. I don't know.
Okay, so we have a message from Balaji, who is listening from Ojo today, who says, "Wouldn't the menstrual leave day affect female employment when companies or firms know that she won't be working all day, and then they will just go ahead and employ the guy instead?" Thank you, Balaji, for that message, because you also have situations where, some companies look at even with maternity leave,
Yeah, and even
they look,
pregnancy.
yeah, with pregnancy, they're like, okay, when this person's pregnant, some people, there's some places you would work and they're like, okay, when you start working with us for the first 5 years or for the first four or
You're not
3 years,
allowed
you can't get married or, have
have
kids and blah, blah,
children.
blah, because it will affect their own productivity and all that. So yeah, Balaji, that is also a very good point, as well as what Dapo mentioned earlier about how people would abuse it. Why Nigeria? I kind of feel like people will definitely abuse
Even
that
this
kind of
normal sick
situation.
leave, like something. Okay, there was this time I was in the bus. I was in the bus going to. I can't remember where exactly I was going to, and someone was calling right beside me, calling our boss that, sir, I'll not be able to come to work today. Right now, I'm in the hospital, and I'm like, wait, am I also in the hospital? Oh
Oh
God.
my
So
god. So yeah, definitely things like that are things that but I kind of feel like, would 2-3 days hurt a company that
maybe
much?
just one, because for most ladies, okay, maybe for
What's the
myself,
point in giving one day if you're in, because for different women it works in different ways. Some people it's just that very
first
first
day,
day it
yes.
comes. For some people the first day it comes, not so much. Going right into the second day it picks up, and it is insane. For some women it's from A to B, from start to finish, from day one to day three, or day one to day five, whichever way your cycle works, you understand.
Hmm.
So if you're giving the person who is in pain for 3 days one day off,
It really
well, I
doesn't make
guess it's
sense.
something. I mean, it's better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a good place to start.
But
It could be a good place to
but
start.
for a country like Nigeria, and considering the fact that from what I've seen, and I don't think people are really ready to embrace this idea. I'm not sure Nigerians are ready to embrace this idea. So maybe we can make our work environment more, I don't know, maybe more relaxed for women when they're on their period.
Now that's
Maybe there
another
should be areas
point.
where they can go to and
Yeah.
rest for like
Take a
maybe
break,
sleep. So
or
maybe we can do that, because I'm not
and
sure.
yeah, we were also talking about earlier. We're talking about in case of schools, you could provide free
Yeah,
sanitary
free sanitary
pads.
pads and all of that. Let them go to the sick bay, let them rest for a while, and don't shame these girls for being on their period. We need to let young boys understand that period is not a disease. Okay, there was this story that was circulating, like, I think last month. There was this young girl in Kenya that died. I think she committed suicide because a teacher shamed her for being on her period, and it was her first time. So it's really sad that someone who's actually supposed to be in care of these kids was the one who was actually, leading the shaming, and
Wagon.
then at the end of the day this young girl decided to take her life because she was on her period. So we should educate young boys, educate everyone. When ladies are on their period, they are quite very touchy. We have mood swings. I can shout
Yeah.
out, I will shout out to you. Do you understand? So just be careful around them and just try to make the environment just a bit more conducive for them. So maybe lounge areas where they can go to rest and just take a break for a while and then go back to
That could
work.
work. That could definitely work. Yeah, a lounge area sounds really good. I definitely see a lounge area somewhere around here. Okay, so this one here is by Dipo. Dipo just sent a message in saying, honestly, I feel for women who have painful menstruation periods. However, it might be difficult to push this leave because some women feel pain about 3 days out of 5.
Yeah.
So how given a day off out of 3 defeats
Defeats the
the
purpose. Yeah.
purpose. Okay, so what do we do then? Because a lot of people, business owners, are thinking, my business will suffer. Who's going
Yeah.
to do this? Who's going to do that? Is it time for the Nigerian workspace to also embrace temporary workers, temps? Yes, people who would come in, fill in the position for a week or
And then
whatever,
go.
do the job and go. Is it time for the Nigerian workspace to also embrace that? Perhaps,
Maybe.
maybe. Who knows? Maybe. If you'd like to drop your comments as well on Instagram, please feel free to do so at Smooth981. And don't forget to follow us on YouTube. We are live on YouTube right now. Smooth981 is what you need to search for. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think we've established the fact that, okay, leave days, uh, necessary
Yeah, they are
for a lot of
necessary.
women who go through menstrual pain. Dikwa also actually Dapper rather also actually added that abuse is human, it will be worldwide, which is also true in the case of people who would eventually end up abusing the
The leave.
the menstrual leave days every month. Yeah, it is definitely human, and it's something that would definitely be worldwide. So might as well just go ahead and give women the leaves, because if you're not even productive in the first place, if you can't really do your job properly, or you can't concentrate in class
What's the
properly,
point?
what's the point? And there are people, yes, there are things you could use, there are drugs you could use. Some of these drugs work for some people.
Some do not.
For the very first time I had my period, I had no issue. It was easy breezy. And then along the line, maybe a couple of months later, I got to I mean, I would hear other people talk about how they had menstrual pain, and I would thank God that I didn't have menstrual pain. Oh, thank
You
God.
didn't know that I was waiting for you.
Until it was waiting for me. I don't understand how it happened. Until
Wow.
the period came where I began to have menstrual pain, and I eventually started using drugs for it
Mm-hmm.
because the pain was
Wow.
it was unbearable. Like, you see, when people are in pain and they're saying rubbish, I was there. I was at that point. You know, like my mother was scared, like everybody, it was insane. So yeah, the menstrual pain is no joke. We have another Temitope on WhatsApp who says, besides the lounge idea, the rest should just be left alone because employers would use it as an excuse to discriminate further against women.
Oh, okay.
That was the message sent in by Timmy Tupper. So yeah, there's a lot of education that needs to go into this,
Mm-hmm.
and I think for employers as well, because at the end of the day, your employees are humans. They
Yeah.
have their needs, they have their times that they need to rest so that they can become productive for you at the end of the day. So let's just see how this talk goes, and hopefully, this idea of women getting leave days, menstrual leave days at work and in school,
Yeah.
would become a thing. Or maybe areas where they can go to and get that rest. Some people need a hot compress, they need to put
Yeah.
something hot in their tummy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whatever they can do to just, make life easier for themselves at that time,
Oh,
would see if it's something that can be imbibed.
yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Topper, for joining me. You want to say something?
Yeah. I just thought about it. That, okay. So what if I go and leave for a day, and then when I'm done with my period, I can actually come back and put in the hours that I missed.
No.
You don't want that.
We don't
No,
want
that could
that.
work. Like, okay, so if you take a day off, if you take 2 days
So
off,
if you take
you
two
find
days
a
off,
way to
you well, I
cover
think it
up for the
depends on the
job,
type
cover
of
up.
job you do, because it depends on the type of job you do. If your job entails, say you have shifts, for
Okay.
instance, right?
Mm-hmm.
You work 3 days or 4 days in a week already,
Okay.
and then you take a day or two off.
Mm-hmm.
You could fill in for that day that would typically be your leave
Mm-hmm.
day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's true.
But if you're working 5 days a week,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
do you understand?
Yeah.
That means you want to put in your weekends, perhaps.
No, we don't want that.
If it works for the companies and if it works for you, hey. So we actually do have a message on YouTube as well by Herbert Ikedigwe. I really hope I got your name right, Herbert. And he says, many things are out there in order to help with menstruation. Hmm.
Okay, so in other words, there's no need for.
So there's no need for us to take menstrual leave. Just use something,
I feel
right?
like most of these guys say these things because they don't know what it
Yeah,
feels
well, a lot of
like.
people don't know what it feels like, and then these things are easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who um would use drugs, and it still
Like the
would
same thing.
not do anything for them, unfortunately. So yeah, that's where we're at. Okay, so I think that's actually all we can take for now, guys. But thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. And remember that you can continue on YouTube with the conversation, on Twitter, on Instagram, even on WhatsApp as well. We'd love to hear from you, what your thoughts are. as well. Remember. So thank you, Tokwe.
Thank you for having me.
I can go back to bullying her now.
Please don't.
I will actually. Guys, remember more music right here on Smooth that will be coming up after postcards. That's going to be coming up by 2 p.m. So after postcards, we will come to you with our Afro Soul segment on the Casbah. Stick around, Lagos.
I was born into royalty.